Welcome, everybody, and today I want to discuss a recent Kino-Lorber Blu-ray release in March 2021, one that I've been looking forward to seeing for quite a while now, and I don't think it's ever been on Blu-ray before. It's called Diary of a Mad Housewife. It stars Richard Benjamin, Frank Langella, and Carrie Snodgress. And mostly I want to kind of talk about Carrie Snodgress. I think that Diary of a Mad Housewife is a really good movie, and it's a really good movie mostly because of Carrie Snodgress's performance. And the movie was successful both commercially and critically, but especially for Carrie Snodgress, who won the Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical in the Golden Globes. She also won Best New Performer. She also was nominated for Best Actress in the Oscar in a year that Glenda Jackson won for Women in Love. And Snodgrass this is her first released film. She actually filmed Rabbit Run with James Caan before this, before Diary of a Mad Housewife, but that was released afterwards. And Snodgrass was a Universal contract star. I believe she must have been one of the last contract stars. She appeared on television shows, but she created quite a sensation with this movie. And the role she plays so impressed rocker Neil Young that he sent her a fan letter. They met up, and she sort of left Hollywood for a few years to live with Neil Young. When she returned, she found that she had been pretty much forgotten, although Sylvester Stallone did not forget her. He offered her the part of Adrian and really wanted her to play the part. Snodgrass thought that she wasn't being offered enough money. Well, that was a low budget. The first Rocky was a low budget movie. And they couldn't offer a lot of money, so Stallone gave up points on it that were his and told her he would give her some of his points if the movie was successful. And Snodgrass said later on that she regretted that she didn't play Adrian in the Rockies, because obviously that would have really revived her career, and it would have made her financially the financial rewards of having points in the Rocky franchise obviously would be enormous. And then when she did come, I guess her first film of some significance when she did return was The Fury, which was for Brian De Palma. And what's so appealing about Carrie Snodgrass in Diary of a Mad Housewife, she's married to a rich lawyer, a well-to-do lawyer. They look rich. They're living in an apartment on Central Park. He's upwardly mobile. He wants to become part of a social set of authors, creative people, celebrities. Carrie, Snodgrass's name in the film is Tina, and Tina, he's Jonathan. Tina does not agree with Jonathan's ambitions, but he rules the roost in this household, and you see it right from the opening shot, which is just a sensational shot where the camera focuses on Carrie Snodgrass as she's waking up, and she's being berated by her husband from the get-go. She's too skinny, her hairdo is awful, she doesn't keep the house clean, and you wonder why, and she's passive, she takes it, and you wonder why is she taking this kind of guff. Eventually she does, and he keeps this up through many scenes through the film, and he even does it in front of their two daughters who also start to denigrate their own mother. And to seek some sort of relief, they attend a party, one of the parties they're at, and Alice Cooper is the performer there, and they're not, I don't think they've had any hit records yet in 1970. Might be around the same era. And she meets this novelist. He's a young and rising novelist, and they have sort of a love-hate conversation right right from the start as soon as they meet. And eventually he asks her to come to his apartment, and she's hesitant. And then when she does go, he makes it clear, this is just about sex. There's nothing, there's no love that's going to be involved here, and I don't want to get involved. And she reassures him, there's nowhere in the world I'm ever going to fall in love with you. And that's Carrie Snodgress, and then he also he also puts her down, and as a typical housewife, wealthy housewife, and all her pretensions and whatever, and she takes it all, but she takes it all with a certain amount of, I don't know what you would call it, dignity, that she understands these two men in her life, these awful men. She sees right through them. It isn't like and it's almost like it's deflected off her. Nothing you guys can say to me is possibly ever going to hurt me. Now that isn't actually spelled out in the movie. You see it through her eyes. I always love actors who know how to use their eyes expressively, and Carrie Snodgress was great at that. And she also has this very distinctive voice, and she's very expressive in quiet scenes. And especially at the end of the movie, there's a scene where her and Richard Benjamin have her husband has a final confrontation, and the movie cuts back and forth to close-ups of the two of them. And Carrie Snodgress it's almost heartbreaking. I mean, you can see why her performance really rang true for a lot of people, especially women whose lives might have been in 1970, wrapped up in the same kind of experience. It was written by Susan Isaac, and the screenplay was written by Eleanor Perry. And there's also intimations in the movie, in the novel, Susan Isaac's novel was written as a diary. And you kind of get the feeling as the film moves along that perhaps we're seeing everybody through Tina's eyes. We're seeing these two horrible men, and dare I say it, two horrible little girls through her eyes, and they're exaggerated. This may not be really the way they are. And we also get the feeling that perhaps that Tina is willing to trade off the deficiencies of her husband with the creature comforts that her lifestyle brings her. And as the film, as I said, it was written. The screenplay was written by Eleanor Perry, directed by her husband Frank Perry, and they made half a dozen movies in the 1960s. I did a piece on Ladybug a few days ago. And this was their last collaboration. They went out in separate ways. They divorced in real life, and they went out in separate ways. And Frank Perry became more or less more of a commercial director. He made his next film, Doc, which was a Western about Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, without Eleanor. And that's coming out on Kino-Lorber also in March of 2021. And then his most famous movie later on, he made infamous movie really, Mommy Dearest, where Faye Dunaway takes on Joan No More Wire Hangers Crawford. And this is a terrific screenplay that Eleanor Perry wrote. She had been a novelist, and she also wrote a successful, I believe it was off-Broadway play. And when they broke up, she had some power with her husband as far as him following her screenplays, which she found that in other areas of Hollywood that wasn't going to be the case, and she became rather disillusioned with the whole film world. But she wrote a great part for her, and they were both the members of the Actors Studio, and I think they were the first writer and director that became members of the Actors Studio, and they wrote great roles. Eleanor wrote great roles, and Frank Perry was really excellent at molding a performance and seeing all the strengths in Carrie Snodgrass's acting style, and it's really it's kind of like a one-of-a-kind performance, it really resonates, and it's still good today. You know, I mean, it's 50 years ago, and the world doesn't seem that different from 1970 to 2021, as it would have if you were in 1970, as I was, from 1920 to 1970. It seems remarkably modern, as many of these films from the 1970s look like. There's a commentary with this, and it's one of these I always prefer commentaries where there's just one person, and this has three. It was done remotely during the COVID era, and done by three highly informed commentators. But when you have three, they sort of bounce off each other because they all have a certain agenda they want to get to. And the commentary goes far afield. It's nevertheless full of some terrific information, to be sure. But the one other thing about this commentary was I wish they had included a woman, because Diary of a Mad Housewife was pretty cutting edge, and it has a kind of feminist kind of outlook on life, and it would have been kind of interesting to see a woman film historian look at this film today from the standpoint of 50 years later. So overall, I was really pleased with Diary of a Mad Housewife. As I said, Doc's coming out soon. The one of the Perry collaborations that isn't out is Last Summer. I mentioned that on previous video. That is a awesomely powerful movie. I'm not sure how people would react to it today. It starred Barbara Hersey and Richard Thomas, Catherine Burns, who was nominated for an Academy Award, and also this Barbara Hersey, Richard Thomas, Bruce Davison was the other one. So hopefully that'll come out soon. But in the meantime, this is a pretty good movie, especially if you like 1970s movies, and especially if you've never seen Carrie Snodgress. I think it might fall for her just like Neil Young did. Okay, so that'll wrap it up for today. You guys stay well, and I'll catch you later.